Good morning, Soundwave Board of Directors. My name is Ben Maxwell, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Unidac Enterprises. We are a global company who helps businesses perform better by implementing emotional intelligence in the workplace. We are here today to talk about why emotional intelligence is important in the workplace and why you should implement it in your business. Now you're probably thinking, what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the ability to identify, use, understand and manage emotions in a positive way to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges and diffuse conflicts. Emotional intelligence impacts many different aspects of your daily life, such as the way you behave and the way you interact with others. This is important in the workplace because it can help improve work efficiency and work morale. It is said that if you have a high emotional intelligence, you are able to recognize your own emotional state and the emotional state of others. This helps in being able to engage with colleagues in a way that makes them feel closer to you. We're here today so that your company can perform at its peak of its ability. To do this, we must explain to you how to involve EI in the workplace and the benefits of implementing it, and the proof that it does help improve company morale. Here today we have a team of people to help your business. First is Mikaela Spencer, our personal psychologist who made it in emotional intelligence and will be talking about ways to measure EI in the workplace. We also have Brodie Smith, our facilitator of development for emotional intelligence, who will talk about the ways to implement EI in the workplace. And last is Sheriden Baker, our emotional intelligence analyst, who will be telling you about a similar electrical retailer store who has had emotional intelligence implemented in their workplace. I will now hand over to Mikaela.
My name is Mikaela Spencer, and I have worked as a personal psychologist for Unidac for the past 10 years. My work entails how the skill of emotional intelligence can be measured, taught and improved in workplaces across the globe. As emotional intelligence is described as the skill of being able to understand and manage one's emotions, as well as understanding the emotions of others around. Emotional intelligence is an asset to any employee as routine work involves operating through times of emotional stress for individuals and groups. Emotional intelligence is not something that can be measured as a physical trait, but as a psychological ability. One of the many ways emotional intelligence can be measured is through a test known as Schutz's Emotional Intelligence Scale. In the test, individuals will be asked an array of different questions relating indirectly to emotions and how the individual copes with the situation. Individuals are asked to indicate on a scale of 1, strongly disagree, to 5, strongly agree, to the questions asked. I am aware of the non-verbal messages I send people is an example of potential questions that could be asked. At the end of the test, participants' scores will be calculated and their individual score will fall into one of 3 different categories: low, medium, or high levels of emotional intelligence. If emotional intelligence scale tests are implemented to Soundwave stores as a part of an annual review system, this would give the company a baseline of how each individual measures on the emotional intelligence scale. As emotional intelligence is a skill, having the results of such tests can aid the company in helping to improve their employees' emotional intelligence, which then Soundwave will in turn reap the benefits of. Studies have shown that within a group, it is not the average of the group's emotional intelligence that affects the cohesiveness of the group, but each individual's level of emotional intelligence that affects the group. Implementing a system which helps to improve individuals' appraisal and expression of emotion, regulation of emotion, and utilization of emotion will in turn improve the whole group's level of emotional intelligence. In 1995, Daniel Goleman published his influential book, aptly titled Emotional Intelligence. Many business executives agreed with the message Goleman was trying to convey, as workplace success is strongly influenced by personal characteristics such as cooperation, self-control, and perseverance. Individuals with high measures of emotional intelligence generally inherent qualities of self-awareness, emotional management, and effective communications, merits that are key in any business. Emotional intelligence development is something your company should be implementing now, as the earlier an individual starts learning about their emotional intelligence, the more that individual can improve their skill. To tell you a bit more about our organisation, Emotional Intelligence Development Program, I hand you over to UNIDAC's facilitator, Brodie Smith.
Thanks for that, Mikaela. Hello everyone, my name is Brodie Smith and I'm the facilitator for development of emotional intelligence into the workplace. Now that Ben and Mikaela have given you an understanding of the importance of EI in the workplace, I will tell you step by step how we introduce this into your company, thus improving sales efficiency of Soundwave. Employees with a higher EI will generally sell more goods, make guests feel more welcome, and be more productive in their given field. This raises the question, can EI be taught? This is believed to be a skeptical question, as some people believe that it can be taught overnight, whilst others believe it can't be taught at all. The truth is, EI can be taught, but just like everything else, it won't happen overnight. Our objective for this meeting is to convince you that this program will be beneficial to Soundwave. This slide behind me shows the basic guidelines in which we have built our program on. There are three main phases. The first phase, preparing for change, consists of many steps which include assessing the needs of the organisation, assessing the problems and where they could improve. The next step is assessing the key individuals which will be taking part in our program to better understand their strengths and weaknesses. The way in which we do this is known as a 360 assessment. It consists of a rating given by co-workers, bosses and subordinates. These are results that are given to the employee confidentially so they know that there is room for changes and improvement. This helps with learner choice. As employees tend to learn and accept change better when they freely choose to do so. This is why, as the leaders of this company, we ask you to strongly endorse this program, but will still let your employees choose to participate. This is the last step before the training begins. Engaging the readiness of employees, we will make sure they are ready to accept the changes, as most people go through a stage of denial. We will use the previous results from the 360 assessment to help them understand changes can be a good thing. The next phase of our program is the actual hands-on training, which involves either creating goals for the individual to reach. These are broken down into what is known as SMART goals. Using this method, we can break down the steps involved in reaching the main goal of increasing emotional intelligence without it being too overwhelming. In our program, we tend to use interactive activities and simulations that may occur in the workplace so they can better relate. This way of learning, we believe, works better than lecturing and readings, especially for those still skeptical individuals. The final step to training is preventing relapse stage. We don't want someone coming back to the workplace with all this new information and becoming discouraged because of all the small setbacks which are bound to happen. In this part of our program, we give the employees simulated problems and help them approach this problem in the best way possible. The final phase to our program is the evaluation. Something like EI can simply not be passed or failed. It is something that needs to be reminded and constant learning. To do this, we use the same method we mentioned earlier, the 360-degree assessment. We ask that we have the full backing of Soundwave to ensure that this does happen, because without this, the company will slowly slip back to their old ways. Now that you understand who we are and what we do, I would like to ask you to work with us and take this program on and define the most effective way to introduce this program to your company. I would now like to pass on to Sheriden to give some examples of where our program has successfully been previously. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brodie, for explaining our program. As an analyst for UNIDAC, it is my role to research the relevance of emotional intelligence across varying organisations and evidence where UNIDAC has been successful in implementing our program. Both of these is which I will address today. Authority on the Concept of Emotional Intelligence, Daniel Gorman, proposes that emotional intelligence predicts workplace success and who transpires as a leader. In fact, leaders who exhibit high levels of emotional intelligence are better able to develop a collective sense of goals and objectives through their better understanding of social situations and emotional states. Members of the board, being emotionally intelligent is as paramount to your role in the company as it is to your company's success. As top-down leaders, you are the figureheads who facilitate recruitment of emotionally intelligent employees and will therefore need to be proficient at recognising and managing the emotions of others as well as yourselves. Influencing the emotional climate within a workplace has direct influence upon performance because emotionally intelligent leaders are better able to understand others' moods and how to use these moods to their advantage. In fact, Forbes recognises that employees with higher emotional intelligence make an average of $29,000 more annually than those who have low-level emotional intelligence. The correlation between emotional intelligence and workplace performance is undeniable. It is so undeniable that Forbes also states that every point increase in emotional intelligence adds $1,300 to an annual salary. So, how is it that we use emotional intelligence to increase your bottom line, you ask? As Brodie identified, our program and recommendations will enhance the emotionally intelligent skills critical to an organisational setting, such as communication, trust, decision-making, time management, assertiveness, stress and change tolerance, empathy, social skills, and more. This approach that we take in enhancing organisational and personal emotional intelligence has been widely and successfully implemented and adapted over a dynamic array of industries and workplaces. An example of such is our work with JBS Electrical Company, a distributor of electrical goods with 50 stores nationally. UniDAC Enterprises began working with JBS Electrical at the start of 2008 to implement personalised recommendations to enhance the emotional intelligence of staff and in turn enhance their bottom line. The graph presented evidences a $20 million steady increase in annual revenue between our commencement of working with JBS until 2014. JBS Electrical is a company akin in size and industry to Soundwave, and they are still reaping the benefits of our working with them 7 years ago. This example, among numerous others, therefore reaffirms the correlation between the workplace and emotional intelligence, and the importance of honing the skills of emotional intelligence. Soundwave, let us help you make your organisation emotionally intelligent. I will now hand back to Ben.
So from this, I hope that we have persuaded you to work with UniDAC Enterprises to improve your company, sales and work morale. Are there any questions?